Yesterday, news broke and TMZ reported erroneously that Michael Avenatti was arrested and charged with domestic violence. And the erroneous part of the report indicated that he had allegedly committed domestic violence against his estranged wife. However, to correct that story, his estranged wife has come forward and said, no, that did not happen. In fact, I've never had any type of domestic violence issue with Michael Avenatti. He's never laid a hand on me. Now, to give you some more details on that, Miss Story Avenatti was not subject to any such incident. Further, she was not at Mr. Avenatti's apartment on the date that this alleged incident occurred. My client states that there has never been domestic violence in her relationship with Michael and that she has never known Michael to be physically violent toward anyone. In fact, Avenatti's first wife came forward and also backed him up. First wife also came to his defense, calling him a loving father who has never been abusive. Now, right now, it's unclear what's really going on. And I wanna be 100% clear about that with you guys. I think this story is incredibly fishy. And honestly, I'm going to criticize myself for not being more suspicious when this story broke as we were on the air yesterday. The original story was reported by TMZ. Harvey Levin, who runs TMZ, is a huge Trump supporter, huge Trump fan. Now, that's not to say that there was malicious intent. We don't know if there was malicious intent.
Probably there was, though, because Harvey Levin has supported Donald Trump through all of his actions, monstrous as they are, against every community that in this country, including his own. He does it for profit, I guess. Oh, hey, I have access to power. You must be so proud, Harvey. So TMZ usually has videos. That's what they're famous for. Did they have a video of this one of Michael Avenatti striking the woman?
I don't believe so.
No, they didn't. No. Oh, that's weird. Why are we listening to TMZ? Look, don't listen to any Trump allies. They're all total liars, okay? We told you not to listen to the National Enquirer and David Pecker. And people are like, oh, no, well, the National Enquirer is reporting Ted Cruz has 5 mistresses. Hillary Clinton has a brain aneurysm. It's, are you nuts? Okay, and it turns out, just like we told you, they made up stuff on behalf of Donald Trump. Now David Pecker has turned around and given evidence against Trump, presumably, because he's talking to the special counsel. We told you! And then any right-wing website, Gateway Pundit, reporting some of this total trash. Yeah. Nothing but lies. So no, you don't believe that stuff. Harvey Levin, you got any video? No, then shut up. Okay, you a clear, biased, Trump-supporting clown. Okay, have I been clear enough, Harvey?
So one other thing that I do want to mention, forget about TMZ. What does matter is what we are hearing from police. Police are not releasing many details, but they did confirm that Michael Avenatti did get arrested on possible domestic violence charges, domestic violence accusations, and they're investigating it. But that's the only details that we know from law enforcement at this time. With that said, though, Michael Avenatti is clear, is trying to be clear with everyone and saying that he has never laid a hand on a woman. In fact, during a press conference, here's what he had to say.
I have never struck a woman. I never will strike a woman. I have been an advocate for women's rights my entire career, and I'm going to continue to be an advocate. I am not going to be intimidated from stopping what I am doing. I am a father to 2 beautiful, smart daughters. I would never disrespect them by touching a woman inappropriately or striking a woman. I am looking forward to a full investigation, at which point I am confident that I will be fully exonerated.
Okay, so look, guys, so why am I so upset? Do I know for a fact that Avenatti did not hit a woman? No, I don't know that. But that's what happens when you put these kind of charges out there. And it's not corroborated yet. They said he was charged with a felony. Not true, not charged with a felony. Not true, that we know, okay? They said that it was his estranged wife that got hit. Not true, we already know 2 things that Trump allies said about Avenatti are totally not true and reported by all of the press immediately. Now right now, we don't know about whether the sheriff's office says, or the police in LA say, look, there is a victim, alleged victim outside of the wives, okay? Do they have enough evidence that they've already charged him with a felony, et cetera? No, okay, so it's up in the air. But if you, and Avenatti says, look, I understand the cops had to do what they had to do given the situation that they had, somebody reports something, well, what are they supposed to do, right? So he's actually really decent to the cops, right? And he said they treated him with respect and they acted in the right way. It forces all reasonable people like us to say, of course there's no way to know right now, so we don't know. But we know the sources, and the sources are trash.
So let's talk about the sources because that is extremely relevant at the moment. So in his denial of committing any type of domestic violence, Michael Avenatti mentioned someone named Jacob Wall, this very young man who created a company known as Surefire Intelligence. So the attorney suggested in a tweet that far-right conspiracy theorist Jacob Wall was to blame for his arrest. Now, Jacob Wall says, no, there's no way this is happening. In fact, let's go to graphic 12. Michael Avenatti seems to believe that I am responsible for him raising his hand to a woman. I am not. Will he release the pictures of his battered victim? Well, interesting because why would Michael Avenatti think that Jacob Wall is behind this or that Surefire Intelligence is behind this? Maybe it's because Surefire Intelligence tweeted, Surefire Intelligence strikes again.
There it is. So they are taking credit for Avenatti being arrested in the first place. So now it's possible that they're doing it after the fact, right? Like, oh, okay, we'll just jump in and try to, they're notorious liars. And I'll explain that's fact-based in a second, okay? So that's one possibility. The other possibility is they framed him. And right-wing frame people all the time. In fact, this same exact group and this same exact guy, Jacob Wall, just tried to frame Robert Mueller on allegations against women.
Yeah, rape allegations.
Almost the same exact thing. Where one is, okay, rape allegations, totally unfounded and is now reported to the FBI investigating Jacob Wall and Berkman, his partner in crime in that case, maybe quite literally, right? And in this case now, hey, look at that, another Trump opponent and another set of charges about how domestic violence, and from the same guys.
So I actually do want to get into that in more detail because it gives you a sense of who Jacob Wall is, what Surefire Intelligence is, and how they are essentially doing smear campaigns and trying to go after people with criminal allegations that have absolutely no evidence, absolutely no credibility or merit behind them. So as Cenk had mentioned, Jacob Wall had accused Mueller of committing rape back in the 70s. And he claimed that he had the victim, the woman, and he even had a press conference with Berkman, and the press conference was a complete and utter disaster. This is what led to the FBI beginning its investigation into Jacob Wall. By the way, Jacob Wall has been barred for life from futures trading due to defrauding investors in 2016. So that's who Jacob Wall is. Anyway, so I want to give you some portions of this press conference to give you an idea of what a joke he is. I mean, it was such a joke that reporters couldn't help but laugh at him during the conference.
He was supposed to bring out the so-called victim of Robert Mueller. And one other important thing here, super important to note, that in the fake Mueller controversy that Wall started, they tried to pay women to make up stories. And the women came forward and are now talking to the FBI saying, yeah, they tried to pay me to say something bad about Mueller.
A woman by the name of Lorraine Parsons said that she was approached and offered $20,000 to lie about being raped by Mueller.
So the same guy takes credit for the Avenatti arrest, is known now as a person who pays women to lie about political opponents. This clown of clowns, we got more information on him, but now with that background, let's look at this hilarious, ridiculous press conference they put together. Where's the woman? Let's find out.
The Washington Post reported that Mr. Mueller, they re-reported that Mr. Mueller was at jury duty as to discredit this accuser. That's why they re-reported it. That's why it's going around.
Jacob,
but real quick, excuse me.
August 3rd, 2010.
Excuse me. Rather than double checking and saying, wait a second, was he only at jury duty? Sometimes people go to jury duty, but they're also somewhere else. Was he only at jury duty? No, oh, hang on, it's not funny. This is not a laughing matter.
No, it is, because you're a clown. and you just squirted some water out of the flour on your lapel, and you got big floppy shoes on. Where's the witness? They're like, we're going to do a big press conference. We've got a witness, we've got a woman who says that Mueller did terrible things. And then do the press conference, and everybody said ahead of time, and we covered it ahead of time, saying there won't be a woman. They've done press conferences like this before. Berkman, his partner, this is what he's known for. He's like, oh, I've got somebody, it's gonna be an amazing press conference, and nobody shows up. Every single time. Yeah. He's like, this is not a laughing matter. Well, where's the woman? Oh yeah, you made it up.
Okay. There's more video that I want to show you, but before we get to that, I have to give you this other wonderful nugget. So Surefire Intelligence, of course, reporters are going to investigate it to try to figure out whether or not this is a credible organization. And so the company argued that they had international investigators. So you would go to the website to see who these international investigators are. And the person stationed in Israel was Bar Raffaeli, who is an Israeli supermodel.
Well, they must be really well connected. No, look, that's why I said he's clown of all clowns. He's pretending to run this Surefire Intelligence thing. You go to the website and look at the pictures. Christoph Waltz, okay, supermodels, actors, etc. And he didn't bother taking like random people. He took super famous people and pretended that they were people working for Surefire Intelligence. How lazy and stupid and incompetent are you? But one of my favorites is he's like, no, it's okay. It's not really me behind it. It's Matthew Cohen, managing partner at Surefire Intelligence, and it's got Matthew Cohen's picture, except he's in the shadows, so you can't see him. Like, first of all, who puts that picture up online where you can't see somebody's face? And then they figured out it's actually Wool's picture. Oh, no, you're such an idiot.
And the phone number for the Surefire Intelligence headquarters goes to Jacob Wool's mom's house.
He's doing it out of his mommy's basement. Out of his mommy's basement. And the entire national media took it seriously.
It's amazing. No, to be fair to the national media, they thought he was a joke. They didn't report on it as if it was serious.
Well,
so I don't.
But guys, look, I know we reported on it yesterday too, and I know that it's so tempting because news breaks, and then progressives, we're so fair, and we want to say, okay, if it's on our side, it doesn't matter at all, right? But TMZ is a Trump ally. They're not real. They're not a real news organization. National Enquirer is not real. Gateway Pundit is total crap. It's horse crap. Now, I know you didn't rely on them, and no one in their right mind should, but a lot of people in Washington do. Well, I don't know, that's a right-wing source. I have a source from the right wing, right? And so, look, and they put people in an impossible situation. Because let's say that it was done to a right-winger. Okay, now Sean Hannity did not do this, I wanna be clear, okay? I'm using it as a hypothetical. If somebody made up charges against Sean Hannity, I don't know who the woman is. I don't know if they brought it in. But in our hypothetical, if we think that Wool did it and it's fake, right? Right? So somebody says, oh, okay, here's a woman with bruised face, and Sean Hannity did it. Now, let's say it's not true, okay? And a left-wingers never do this. Never, ever, ever. It is not even. Do not call it even. They're goddamn liars, and our side almost never does it, okay? But if a left-winger did it, first of all, they'd be immediately disowned. No one would ever cite them or work with them again, right? On the right wing, they're celebrated and applauded. But how unfair would it be to Sean Hannity for the entire national media to say he's a wife beater? He beat a woman, right? And by the way, I see on social media today all day, left-wing people, progressives. I said I'm done with Avenatti. Avenatti's the worst. How the hell is he supposed to recover from that? So if it turns out to be fake, what percentage of the people who saw the first story will see the second story? 25%, 35%. If he's lucky, 50%. Half the people will forever believe that he beat his wife, right? And so this is how they play dirty tricks, and the mainstream media aids and abets them by calling it even.
Look, like I said, I made the mistake yesterday, and I feel horrible about it, and I should have been a lot more skeptical. But it's difficult to balance being fair with being skeptical, because on one hand, I'm always worried that, hey, if it's someone on our side, do I have a bias that's so dominant that I avoid that story? So It's a juggling act. I should have considered the source much more. And again, I apologize. And we're going to correct ourselves every time we get something wrong.
Look, and we didn't rely on right-wing websites like the mainstream media does.
It was TMZ.
It was TMZ. And TMZ is, to be fair, and because we can't help ourselves, because we constantly are fair, where the other side is constantly, brutally, ridiculously unfair, okay? TMZ is not National Enquirer. National Enquirer makes up stories for a living as a regular basis. That is their core business, right? TMZ often breaks stories that are real, and is including about domestic violence, okay? Chris Brown, for example, et cetera, right? But now we know Harvey Levin, turns out, doesn't care. And he will choose political bias over the truth. So that's it, we're done with TMZ. And no one, if you're a respectable news organization, you should never quote TMZ again, because they do propaganda for Donald Trump. Okay, now we know, lesson learned.
So I promised, and it's kind of awkward to play these videos now because we moved on from the Jacob Wall portion of this conversation, but just for shiggles, because it's too much fun. Here's the second video of the press conference that Jacob Wall had with Jack Berkman.
So you're 20 years old, Jacob, right? You're 20 years old. Describe to me your investigative experience. And when did you get this honorary Harvard Law degree?
It's a figure of speech. Okay.
Okay, so you're 20 years old. What is your background as a professional investigator?
Like I said, I've done a handful of matters. I've done a handful of matters like this over the years. My mission here is not to establish a narrative. It's not to follow an agenda. It's to bring forth. Hang on. It's to bring forth the facts and let the facts speak for themselves, and that's what we've done.
Jack Berkman, like, I get that he's a bad guy, but I feel like even bad guys understand that it's not a good thing to associate yourself with someone that stupid.
An honorary degree from Harvard is not a figure of speech. That's just not a thing. That's not a thing. So look, we get it. Okay, I'm not blaming the media for believing Jacob Wall, although sometimes they have in the past. And much more important than Jacob Wall is the people he's connected to, Gateway Pundit and other trash on the right-wing side, who constantly report lies. Okay, but Harvey Levin has got a lot to answer for. So was one of your sources Jacob Wall? We already know that you completely incorrectly reported that Avenatti hit his wife. We know for a fact that's not true. So who was your source? Are you trash, just like Jacob Wall? Do you also have an honorary degree from Harvard that's a figure of speech? So people should ask Harvey Levin these questions, and if he doesn't have good answers, you should never, ever, ever quote TMZ again.
Yeah. One final video.
Gentleman in the back. Yes, sir.
Are you both prepared for federal prison?
No, we are not.
Disaster.
Well, look, we don't yet know the full details, as we've now said a number of times, okay? But if it turns out that they did make it up, as they have time and time again, these clowns on the right, okay? Now, unfortunately, they won't go to prison for a long time because it's technically a misdemeanor in California, and you can't get more than a year, okay? But they should give him 364 days, and they should make sure that Jacob Wall goes to prison if it turns out that he made it up and he paid someone, etc. And Avenatti should sue TMZ out of existence. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.